If you're struggling to get students in 2026, it's not because parents and students aren't looking for online tutors, it's because your student acquisition system is broken. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's failing and how to fix it. So that in 2026, you can enroll more online tutoring students than ever. So let's jump in. So throughout this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 fixes that you can make to fix your student acquisition system in 2026. So the first one that we're going to start off with is simply your offer. And so here's what happens. A lot of tutors think that their offer is simply their niche. Okay, and so they create a niche, a certain subject, a certain student within that niche and subject, and they think that's all that they need to do in order to niche down to set themselves up for success when it comes to advertising. However, just having a niche of a subject and a student is not enough in today's age. There's more online tutors than ever before, which means ad costs have gone up. It's very easy to use things like AI so that everybody just blends in, everybody's marketing looks the same. Okay, so the first thing that you need to fix to improve your student acquisition system in 2026 is your offer. You do this by focusing on 3 things. First is the promise. Okay, so instead of just niching down and finding a particular subject and student within that subject, you need to focus on the result that you deliver for that student. Okay, so if I'm sick, I could just go to the general practitioner, a GP, right? However, if I've got back pain, I could go to the GP, but the GP is going to refer me to a chiropractor anyway, okay? And so the chiropractor is going to charge more money than a GP. So the chiropractor is perceived as the expert for helping people solve back pain. So the first thing that you need to do to fix your offer in 2026 so you can start enrolling more students is really focus on a tangible result that you deliver for your students, a certain grade, entry into a college, something that's actually tangible that you can measure. This becomes what we call the promise. Okay, so if you come and work with me or if you send your child to work with me, here's what result I'm going to help them achieve. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to fix. Now you position yourself as the go-to tutor, as the expert for a particular subject, not just the general practitioner for a certain subject. Okay, now the second part of fixing your offer is making sure that you actually have scalability when you bring students on, okay, and how you serve them, how you fulfill. And so there's a couple of ways to scale a business. You could scale 1 linearly, which just means more students, more hours, or you can scale exponentially, which means the more students you bring on, your time doesn't go up at the same time because you can hire teams, you can just service more students. So creating a scalable model when students actually approach you is absolutely key to fixing your student acquisition. So a lot of tutors, what will happen is they try to scale linearly, meaning more students, more hours, and at some point they're going to hit a cap, right? There's a ceiling because there's only so many hours you can tutor students if you're tutoring one-on-one or things like that, and therefore you have to turn off your marketing, so student acquisition stops. There's going to be a certain price point, right? There's going to be a ceiling on your pricing because there's going to be so much that students and parents are going to pay for an hour's session, right, before they start comparing to everybody else. And so you've got to have a better scalable model. So groups, and at the same time, making sure you get a minimum term commitment for your students. So if you're just getting subscriptions on a monthly basis from your students, you don't have the margins to advertise, which we're going to come on to in a second. And that then kills your growth because you can't hire teams, you can't keep reinvesting back into your marketing, so you can't keep enrolling more students profitably. Okay, so if you can then start to charge up front for a period of time, either 12 months or for an entire academic year, your margins immediately skyrocket. Okay, and that means you're going to earn more per student who comes in. And if you earn more per student who comes in, then you're going to be able to outspend every other tutor in the marketplace, and that's how you can win. And at the same time, if people are on subscriptions, and so you're either charging by the hour or you've got people on subscriptions, that's when, you know, your retention sucks as well, because people are going to be more likely to cancel things or they want to reschedule stuff. So the second part of fixing your offer, we've talked about the promise, so focusing on a tangible result. The second part is the scalability of the model that you're using. So charging upfront for longer periods of times, which then leads me on to part 3 of the offer, which is the economics. And so it's no good wanting to be a tutor because you want to help all of the students out there. That can come because if you do that, you're probably going to have to charge such low rates because not everybody can afford to have a premium tutor, right? But the way to think about this is charge a premium first, get your business bringing in a good amount of income, and then down the line, you can service the other students. But you really need to focus on starting with and having a premium product to offer in your marketing. And so if you're charging by the hour, or if you're charging lower than $500, for example, or pounds, then it's going to be really, really difficult to actually have a business that can grow. Again, because you can't pour back into marketing. You can't hire help to help you grow. So you get to a point where you've got to stop enrolling students. So you've got to be able to charge $1,000 or more per student, and you focus on building out this premium offer first. Once you're crushing it, then you can focus on having lower ticket products and things like this to help other students who aren't quite ready to work with you at the highest level. But I just see the complete opposite. A lot of tutors try to charge low so they can help everybody, and as a result, it just means that they can't acquire students profitably. So that's one of the biggest mistakes it comes down to when tutors are struggling to enroll students, is because they just have poor economics. So you've got to have a premium price point, a stronger promise, and a scalable model so that you've got the right offer in place. Now, the next part of fixing your student acquisition in 2026 is the ad. So I said at the start, we live in a world now where there's more tutors out there than ever before. There's more people to marketing. There's more accessibility to things like AI, which kind of creates a level playing field. Everybody looks the same. However, on people's news feeds, remember, you've only got a few seconds to capture people's attention. So the second thing that you need to focus on is your ad. Okay, so your actual advert. Now, there's two things that make a great ad. Okay, now it's not the targeting. A lot of tutors think that they need to find the right targeting on whatever social media platform they're using to get in front of the right parents and students. In this day and age, targeting does not really matter. What matters is your copy and your creative. Okay, now you can't create good copy if you don't have a good offer and a strong promise. Okay, so we'll talk about the copy first, and then we'll talk about the creative. So the copy really needs to be built around 3 elements. So this is the written copy that people see when they read your advert. The stop, so calling out your ideal parents and students, the story, and then the sell. Okay, so there's 3 components to writing a great ad. Now the stop is the most important part, because if you can't stop parents and students in their tracks, they're not going to read and click on your ad anyway. Okay, so here's how you create a good stop. You really just build into the stop your promise. So whatever result it is you do for your students, just use that as the stop, as the main headline on your ad, because that's what parents and students want, is the result that you're offering. So just immediately state that promise. This does a couple of things. One, it brings you in more qualified leads, because it's going to bring you in the right leads. Because if you're calling out the actual parent and student that you serve, and you're promising them, or you're letting them know the result that you're going to deliver for them in their studies, then guess who clicks and reads on the ad? That person. Whereas when you've got a wishy-washy hook or stop to add, like, hey, is your child struggling with maths, or is your child struggling to learn to read? Any parent and student could read that. So what happens is you bring people in to the funnel who might not necessarily be your ideal parent and student. Whereas if I say this, hey, if you've got a child, or if you've got a teen taking their GCSE maths this academic year and they want to score a grade 10, I'll help them achieve this result in the next 12 weeks. It's very clear who I'm speaking to. It's very clear what result I'm going to help them achieve. So the only person who's going to go through that ad is my ideal parent and student, my ideal avatar. So it improves the quality of the traffic coming through my funnel. Now, this is the most important part. The next part is the story. Okay, so in the story, you need to be able to connect with their pains, their frustrations, so that when they read it, they believe that you know them better than themselves. Then you also need to detail how you help your students get results. Again, this improves quality, it improves trust, so that when people come through your funnel, your ideal prospects, they're already kind of bought in that you can help. Okay, so a lot of the selling starts right from the ad, not once you jump on a consult with a parent and student. Now, once you've talked about the story, the next bit is the sell. And so a lot of tutoring ads, they simply lack clear steps of what the parent and student needs to do next once they click on the ad. And so you want to be very clear. Once you click on this ad, you'll be sent to a form, or wherever you're sending them. The next step is to fill out your details and then book in a call with me, or whatever it is you're doing inside of your ad, or if it's a lead magnet ad, or if it's a direct ad straight to a booking page. Be very clear on what the next steps are. So that's the framework for writing great copy. Now, there's something else that makes your ad convert, and that's the creative. So you can start with images, which are great, or you can use video. And so what we found best after consulting over 3,000 tutoring businesses, the best creative form is simply a short video, 30 to 90 seconds, that pretty much just states your promise and your offer of what you do for your students, what result you get them, and how you help them, and then what the next steps are. And you can record this on a simple iPhone selfie style portrait mode and then just upload that. The reason why this works great as an ad is because anybody can knock up an image on AI. Plus, if you want to have more success and more chance of selling to strangers, so people who've only just heard of you, and then they're jumping on a consult with you very shortly afterwards in the next few days, and they've only seen an image of you, their trust barriers are just so low, okay? So you need to make sure that you build more trust, more rapport, and you do that by using things like video. Okay, so that's the second part of fixing your student acquisition in 2026, the ad. The third part of fixing your student acquisition in 2026 is the funnel, okay? Now, the reason why this matters so much is it really depends on where your business is at in revenue right now as a tutor, okay? So let me explain. Now, if I'm based in the UK and I live in London and I want to get to another city in the UK, I'm going to take a car or I'm going to get a train, right? Because it's a very, very short distance, okay? Now, if I want to get to a different country, I'm going to have to take either a boat if I want to get to France, or I'm going to take a plane, for example, if I want to get to the United States of America. Now, the reason why I do that is because the distance is different, okay? And the same thing applies to your tutoring business. So, for example, if I'm at 0 to get to 10K, it's not very far, okay? So a 10 grand month. Okay, so I'm going to use a completely different vehicle, the vehicle being the funnel, which I'm going to break down. But if I want to get from 50 grand a month to 100 grand a month, or from 10 grand a month to 100 grand a month, whatever it is, again, completely different type of beast that we're talking about here, completely different type of journey. So the vehicle, so the funnel is generally different. So this is what a lot of tutors get wrong with their student acquisition. They're using the wrong funnel. And so in 2026, I'm going to give you a breakdown of the 3 funnels that you should be using to fix your student acquisition based on where you're at.
Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps that I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace, and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out, and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me. But I know you're going to love it. Teaching on Your Own Terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments, and go and pick up your copy today.
Funnel number 1 is the DM funnel. Very easy to set up, very low tech, and this is great. So how this vehicle works, or how this funnel works, someone clicks on an ad. As soon as they click on it, they go straight into a messenger conversation with you, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram. Now, this is very good for people who are just starting out, people who've had no experience. So at the beginning of their journey, from 0 to 10 grand a month. Reason why it works: you can build trust fast in the messenger conversations. You can qualify people. And again, there's very little to need to optimize. So it's a very low tech funnel, right? Because all you've got to do is just improve the ad. As soon as someone clicks on the ad, they're going into a messenger conversation with you, and then you can have a conversation with them. This is great for qualifying the leads, speaking to them, building that muscle of lead follow-up, because you need to have that lead follow-up skill. So this allows for that perfectly, because you can get used to speaking to people who click on your ads before you actually have a sales consult with them. So they're more warmed up. Okay. Now, the downside to this is it does require time. So if you've got more time on your hands in the beginning, the DM funnel can work really well. However, if you're stuck in the classroom all day, or if you don't have a lot of time, the DM funnel doesn't require. It probably isn't the best fit for you when you're first starting out, or when you're not at 10K a month, because you're not going to have time to follow up with your leads. So you're going to want something more streamlined, and we'll come on to that in funnel 2. Okay. So DM funnel is great in the beginning, 0 to 10 grand a month. For people who've got more time. Again, it's got very low tech to set up, very easy to set up, great to qualify leads and build trust, but it is more of a burden on time consumption. Okay. So funnel 2. So funnel 2 is the instant form funnel. Okay. So basically how this funnel works, someone clicks on your ad, a form pops up on either Instagram or Meta. And the reason why this works is because the form is still situated on the Meta Instagram platform. So load times are faster. Okay, that means you're going to get more volume of leads coming through your funnel because they haven't got to leave the Meta platform. Okay, so Meta, of course, pushes this. They favor it. They like to keep people on their platform. And so the form loads up. You can collect a few of their details, name, email, phone number. You can ask them some application questions and things like that. There's very low friction here. Okay, so it means it's easy to go through the funnel. It's very then easy to optimize as well. And again, very low tech. You don't need to set up some kind of funnel builder page or anything like that. Okay, generally after they've gone through the instant form, you're going to get a lot of leads come through. Some people can then book into your calendar to book a call to speak to you on the next page. But because this funnel's so easy to go through, we generally find at scale, lead quality starts to dip. So benefits of this funnel, and again, this can work from 0 to 20K a month, maybe a little bit more as an online tutor. But after that, you start to see diminishing returns. Reason being, as I said, it's easy to go through. So lead quality does start to dip at scale, which means you might get a lot of calls on your calendar, but a lot of those leads, because it was so easy to get there, they're not as qualified. So you're speaking to more prospects that aren't actually able to enroll into your tutoring programs and classes. Okay. So this is great. As I said, 0 to 20K a month. But at that point, you're going to want to shift the vehicle number 3 or funnel number 3, which you can pretty much just achieve ultimate scale with. And we call this the shortcut funnel. Okay. So the reason why we call this the shortcut funnel is because generally, if you think about a funnel and people who aren't using instant forms or DMs, then generally you would send traffic to an opt-in page, right? And you'll have seen these. It's an opt-in page. It states the offer and what you do, and it might have like a pop-up box that comes up and people enter their name, email, phone number. And then after that, they go to the next step where there might be a video that explains how your tutoring services work, or a video sales letter, what it is you do, and giving them next steps to booking a call. Okay. Now, that can work. However, what we found works better is what we call the shortcut funnel. So instead of having an opt-in box pop up on this initial page, you skip that step altogether, hence the name shortcut funnel. And you go straight to the next page, which is what we call the VSL page. So a video sales letter, which is a little bit more in depth than the actual ad that you might be using as a video. Think 3 to 5 minutes or 3 to 10 minutes, somewhere around that. 3 to 5 is probably a great sweet spot. And this video, again, builds more trust, does more of the pre-selling on how what you do helps students achieve said result. And it's got a very short, simple call to action, okay, below the video, which is to book in a call, okay? Now, before they book in the call though, you're going to include some form of survey. So they've got to see if they're qualified. Okay, so to book a call, fill out the application below to see if you're a qualified fit and book a call on the next page. There's a few questions where you're going to ask, make sure you've got the right student. So this is essentially a filter. Then you're going to ask questions based on their goals, their targets, their challenges, and of course, potentially based on the price point you're selling at, pre-seed, do they have an investment available to put into their education if they were to find a fit? So this allows you then, and then you're going to click name, email, phone number on this form before you let them see your calendar. And so what this does is, yes, you're still going to get leads through this, but they're a higher quality lead. And so if someone goes through this, they're going to be more likely to book a call on your calendar on the next page. Okay, so skip the opt-in page, go straight to a funnel page where it's got a video and a form, a survey, get them to fill out that, collect their lead info there, then give them the calendar space. Now, quick bonus tip. If you've not got enough spots open on your calendar on the next step, this is where a lot of tutors can't get many automated bookings. So you're stuck forever following up with your leads, chasing them because they saw your calendar. They wanted to book a call, but you just didn't have enough space. Okay. So you've got to make sure you've got 4 to 5 slots, ideally per day, to choose from, and don't let them see more than 2 days or the next 2 available dates on your calendar. Fix that and you'll get more automated bookings. And then because we've collected more info on the lead, once they've gone through this funnel and they've seen a video, the leads that don't book in, when you go to call them up, they're more qualified. So this allows you to keep your calendar more efficient, more qualified leads, which is obviously going to lead to more enrollments. Okay. So that covers step 3, the funnel. Now, the 4th part to fix your student acquisition in 2026 is your nurture engine. And so imagine this. I'm a farmer and I'm planting seeds across my field. And then after the first day of planting seeds, I never go back and water and fertilize the seeds. Are the seeds going to grow? No. Okay. And so a lot of tutors do this with their acquisition. They generate leads and then they don't water the leads. They don't send them any more information. They don't follow up with them enough. They don't nurture them. And as a result, the leads don't grow into paying clients and students. And so you want to fix student acquisition in 2026, your nurture engine matters. Remember, we live in a world where there's more tutors out there than ever before. So the tutors that are able to market more frequently and better to the leads that they do have are going to be more likely to make it rain when it comes to enrolling students. So there's a few elements that you can include in your nurture system, and I'll walk you through what they are right now. And just think about it. If a lead never hears or sees from you again, are they going to enroll? Are you going to be top of mind? Absolutely not. There's always a day when one of your leads is ready to enroll. And the day that you stop speaking to them is the day that they're going to forget about you. So I always remember this in our business. The day that we don't send an email, the day that we don't market to our current leads, we're going to miss someone who is ready on that particular day. And you should take that approach as well. So in your nurture engine for 2026, you want to make sure you've got one solid homework video. Okay. So this is something, it could be a PDF, a resource, something you provide leads before the call to obviously warm them up. Okay. The second part is very simply retarget ads. So retargeting, sending specific ads to the leads that you've already generated. Okay. So you can retarget them on Facebook, on Instagram, and the type of content you should be sending to them are things like testimonials to validate what you do works. That creates more desire from the parents and students who see it. So they're going to want to achieve it as well because they can see other students achieving it. It builds trust. So when they come onto the call, they're obviously warmer. They're already pre-sold. Okay. Testimonials, methodology-based content. So how your process works, okay, what you do for your students at each step to help them achieve said result, and why you do that, why it works, that type of stuff. Anything around your teaching methodology. Then also reminder ads. So if a lead saw your calendar, continuously reminding them to book a call if they didn't. They're great retargeting ads. So you can spend a little bit of money extra a day, probably think about at scale 80% of your budget is going to go to speaking to new leads, and then spend 20% on retargeting traffic. So sending these type of ads back to people who've already heard of you or who've already been through the funnel but haven't enrolled yet. Okay. Now, third part of your nurture engine is what we call hyper organic. Okay. So a lot of tutors will post organically on their social media profiles and create content, value-based content, objection handling based content, again, testimonials, student wins, things like this. The thing is they just stick it on their Instagram profile, TikTok, Facebook, and then do nothing with it. So what we've found works best is to create what we call hyper organic. And so you post on your social media profiles the organic content. You don't stop doing that because that's great for building your brand. But then you're going to take your best performing posts and then you're going to put a little bit of money behind them and boost them. You're going to send these boosted posts again to nurture your leads, people who already know you, who've already been through the funnel, who are a little bit warmer, because now you're warming them up even more. And another thing that you can do is make sure you email your leads daily. Okay. And so a lot of tutors, when I speak to them, I say, yeah, we've got an email responder. The lead comes in, we email them for 7 days. So we do email our leads, but there's a drop off. That 7-day period is great for following up with your leads. But as I said at the start of this, if you're not speaking to your leads each and every single day, there's always a day when you miss someone who is ready to enroll. So you need to make sure past your autoresponder that you might have set up for your tutoring business, you continue to email your leads daily. Now, in terms of what you should send to your leads, aim for about 3 to 4 call to actions. So very direct, booking a call with you per week. The other 3 to 4 based on how many hard CTAs you send, give more value-driven emails, okay? Around how you help your students, tips, strategies, that type of stuff, okay? Keep that cadence, email every single day. The last thing that you can do, and there's a ton of things, but we just find these are the best 5. The last thing that I would include in my nurture engine for 2026 to fix my student acquisition is simply the monthly masterclass. So every single month, invite all of your leads who haven't enrolled onto a quick parent info session or student info session. This can be anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. And I would simply deliver a more in-depth training to them, a kind of like a mini lesson or an intro lesson on what you do for your students, why it works, show some social proof, okay, and then get them to book in a call with you. So essentially you're kicking people off the fence who aren't quite bought in yet, who needed a little bit more trust, who needed a little bit more information, and you can just literally just do this on Zoom. So just email a Zoom registration link to all of your leads each and every single month, set one date aside each month to do this, 30 to 60 minutes, deliver a big info session on how you help your students, go to town on it, handle any objections, any questions that the parents and students might have on this info session, and you'll make way more enrollments doing that. Again, you're building more trust, you're getting in front of your leads. And as I said, you've already got the leads. So it doesn't make sense to not keep nurturing them and watering the garden. Okay. Now, the last part is the most important part of fixing your student acquisition system in 2026, and that's tracking and optimization. So you probably heard the saying, you can't manage what you don't measure. Okay. And then unfortunately, a lot of tutors, they do not track their acquisition efforts. And if I went to the gym and I wanted to lose weight and I was going on a diet and I didn't track my calories, I didn't track my exercise lifts and progress, I'm going to have no idea how I'm doing and how my progress is going. And so what ends up happening is I stop going to the gym because I think, well, I'm not seeing progress. But had I been tracking, I'm going to see I've seen gradual progress, okay, which keeps me motivated to keep going. So instead of operating through feelings, I operate through facts, okay? So it comes down to the same thing with student acquisition. So you've got to track daily and you've got to build this habit. That way you can reverse engineer everything. And I'll break you down some initial stats that you should be shooting for just here in a sec. But for example, if I was shooting for a 5x ROAS, so a return on ad spend, then I know that if I'm selling a price point of $1,000, we'll just use this as a basic example, for a tutoring program for 12 weeks, then if I wanted to get a 5x ROAS on that, I know I've got to acquire a client for $200 or £200. Okay, so now I've got a target. Okay. Now, at the same time, if I know that my close rate, so the amount of students I speak to versus how many enroll is 25%. So let's say that's 1 in 4, right? Then, so 25%, 1 in 4. I know that based on that, I'm going to have to get calls on my calendar, live calls. This isn't including show rate of $50, right? Because 50 times 4 is 200. So if I'm rolling one of them, then, that's going to give me my student acquisition cost. Okay. And so I can now backtrack and work out simple math like this. And you can see why it's important to charge a premium, because who's going to generate loads of calls at volume at less than $50? It's going to be pretty hard. Now, absolutely some subject niches can do it, but at scale, obviously quality is going to go down if you're just stacking your calendar, wasting your time on people who aren't going to enroll. Okay, so this is why you have to have the right economics in your business. So now you've got some basic backtracking or reverse engineering processes there, and you can do it for your own business. Here's some initial stats to aim for. From the leads that you get, you're looking to get ideally 20% of those leads to book in a call with you. From the people who book a call, you're trying to optimize to get around about 70% of the people who book a call to show up for the call. From the people who show up for the call, 25 to 40% of people want to enroll. This is obviously for a cold traffic-based acquisition funnel. If you're just enrolling referrals and organically, obviously, you're going to have probably better stats than that. But at scale, this is what we found are kind of those basic metrics to shoot for, or standardized metrics in an online tutoring funnel. And so there you've got it. That's how to fix your student acquisition in 2026. Now, if you want to get help with this and making sure that you're set up to enroll more students in 2026, there'll be a link down below this video. You can click it and you can schedule in a call with us, and we'll break down the exact constraint in your business and what we would do to fix it if we were you. And based on our nearly 6 years of experience doing this now with tutors, serving over 3,000 tutors around the world, that's pretty invaluable in itself, is just getting our perspective on what we would do to grow your tutoring business. So if you want to get our help growing your tutoring business in 2026 to fix your student acquisition, use the link down below, fill out the application and book in a call, and I'll build you out a game plan. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.